Hello and welcome to the Matt Black podcast. We're up to episode 23 and today's guest is Lee Pollard. How are you doing?
All right, mate. Not bad.
You've not had to travel too far, have you?
9 mile. I put it in my sat nav, but you come down the road of death, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
God.
Yeah, there's a weird road that comes into my village where if you like your car, it's not a good idea.
No. I'm like doing about 50 mile an hour and then these vans coming flying past and it's like...
This is worst time of year for it as well. That them type of roads, everything's all kind of growing in on top of you.
Yeah.
And then in daytime, you can't tell who's flying round corner.
No. I'm going back other way, but then you've got the roundabout from hell, haven't you?
Stairfoot roundabout, yeah. If you're not from Barnsley, there's a roundabout kind of heading from Rotherham towards the centre of Barnsley. It's called Stairfoot Roundabout. There's a song about it, isn't there?
Donikins did it, didn't they?
Yeah, but it's been improved, shall we say? It's not great still.
You just pick a random lane and then just
hope for
go
best.
around.
Oh yeah,
it's terrible.
It's one of those where you've just got to just fly through with confidence because otherwise people just smash into the side of you.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen many a time.
It's not. Well, it used to be all right, but now you just anyway. It's I don't know who designed it.
They've chopped a big hole in the middle of it as well. It's supposed to be for buses to go through. I've never seen anyone use it.
No. There'll be somebody who was it, 2 kids on a bike blasting through.
I think we've already alienated anyone that's listening to this from outside of a 10-mile radius.
Yeah, that's it. Done now, innit? Switch off now.
They're going to start talking about ferrets and stuff in a minute.
I've got my flat car. That'll be all right, won't it?
I should have got mine. It's sunny as hell today, isn't it? We're having one like a traffic light tomorrow, I think. So, Lee, you've got many things on your CV, haven't you? You're not a one-trick pony. You do comedy. You write poetry. You're a writer for live productions and a musician as well, as we were talking about just before we started. What set you off doing all that type of stuff? Because it's not for everybody, is it?
No, I think I've realised I'm just not very good at all. You know what I mean? So I'm like mediocre at all things. So I just keep trying. I would use the term musician loosely.
Right.
I play bass, which is like joins in with musicians, don't they? You know. So I get by. I get me. I've been at same man 10 years now.
Right.
Which is incredible, and we have a shout out for Atlantikites. We just nobody knew each other. Do you know? And I think that works. I think. Then if you're mates, you fall out. Like none of us knew each other, and we all got together over want a bass player, want a drummer, and it just works because we ain't got that politics. It's
because when you first get to know somebody, there's a bit of politeness there, and you kind of hold a little filter up. You think like, well, I can't tell them to fuck off just yet because I've only known them for like 6 months and I only see them once a week. You know, it's not like when you're in a band and you feel like you're brothers and you're amongst it. You fight like cat and dog, don't you? That tiniest little thing.
And you'll know that we like touring and stuff like that, and being with bands. You're living with each other, which I've not had that. We practice once a week and then we gig every 3 weeks. We're not trying to be out either. It's just a bit of fun, you know. What I mean? So it's all right, but I enjoy that part. We're just getting gigging again because I've been poorly for a long time, which came as a shock. I suppose it does being poorly, doesn't it? You don't really plan.
Well, you don't plan it now.
Next Thursday I'm going to be, unless you're throwing a sick.
Well, you can text in these days, can't you?
Yeah. So we ain't gigged for since before Christmas, so we're starting back in August, which will be looking forward to that. I can't remember where we are, somewhere in Doncaster, but it's been weird not gigging or doing out, you know. Yeah,
it's you start getting kind of like itchy feet, don't you? Like everyone gets sick of doing certain things, and then when they don't do it, they miss it, and they're like, oh.
Well, I've been missing from day job, and watching fucking daytime TV, like Homes Under the Hammer and Bargain Hunt, and I'm like ringing my wife and she's at work and I'm going, oh, they lost 40 quid on Bargain Hunt, and then you think, you sad bastard, you know what I mean? Because I'm not used to being off work either, so I've been off work and then obviously not doing any comedy or stand-up or all that, and my brain's just not been there to write, so it's been weird.
suddenly the mundane things become the important things, don't they? They're like, you see, look at that. I've spent an hour on that cutlery drawer.
yeah. Don't tell me I ain't done that one yet. She's, but yeah, I mean, I don't want to leave this world, which I nearly did recently, and look back and think, oh, I wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that. Do you know what I mean? And you just think, well, do it then. Do it, you know. If it falls on its ass, it falls on its ass. But don't look back and say, I wish I'd tried stand up, I wish I'd written it. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And that's been my motto for a long time. So I started off with poetry. And I've always written poems from being a kid. But I'm not going into too much detail, but things weren't brilliant at our house. So if I wrote something, like my mum or whatever, my dad would take piss out of it and rip it up and just crap it, or even worse for a poet is to read it out and make fun on it. Do you know what I mean? So I sort of kept it to myself, and then just tried it. Wrote one for D-Day, which I'm not proud. I'm proud that I wrote it, but not looking back as a poem, it weren't very good. Do you know what I mean? And then I thought, I'll try and write funny poetry, and that sort of took off. People laughed, you know, so I thought I'll stick with this. How
did kids at school kind of react to the poetry?
Well, I didn't really.
It's not like in American terms. It's not like something jocks would welcome, is it?
No. Well, I was lucky, you see, because I didn't go to school.
Right.
I went to being about 6 or 7, and then it weren't for me.
Right. I didn't know you could just do that.
Well, you can. I can remember it well. School Bobby came. They used to have school bobbies. I don't know if they still have them. Like they used to, and they used to come and visit. And the first time I remember, it got fined. We got fined a tenner. Well, my dad did. And then he got fined 50 quid when I didn't go back after like a year. Which weren't coming out of my pocket, so I wasn't really bothered, you know. He just took it out to me. And then after, they just get up on you, so
wow.
I were off me, fishing, pool, whatever, like, so...
It seems, I mean, I ain't got kids, so I don't really know the full ins and outs of it all, but it's like, it seems a lot more intense now than it's...
Yeah, I think the monitor a bit closer. I can remember once, what was frustrating, as I say, things weren't good at home, and what was frustrating is that I just got labelled as a wrong un, and no teacher ever asked me why I weren't going. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now, I would hope somebody'd say, you know, why aren't you coming in, or you know, what's wrong and stuff like that. But I can remember at school, Bobby, a nice bloke, lovely bloke. He asked me why I weren't going in, and I said, well, if I got my bike fixed, because I knew he run this bicycle club, right? And I said to him, if I get my bike fixed, I can get there, like, I ain't always got bus fare. So he helped me fix my bike, and that was real fucking off me. Far away from school as I could. Never went to school the day after that, like, so I got spared, like, because poetry is not... I couldn't see it being regarded as like a macho pastime, could it? You know.
No, I think it probably not even. I mean, how old are you?
61.
Yeah. I'm 39, and like even when I was at school, it's like you would have got the crap kicked out of you for that. But it's like it's different now. There seems to be a lot more kind of support and protection around that, not just from people like teachers and stuff. Like some kids have been brought up to be like, you know, hey, don't ridicule them for that. They're doing this and this and this. You know, there's a lot more. I mean, some of it's gone a bit too far one way, and some of it seems like it's better. It's definitely improving, but you know, the kids do seem a bit more open to creating things, especially since now we've got all your platforms that for actually creating content. People are going out of the way to do things rather than just dancing about on TikTok.
I know, but the thing is, you know, when older ends say like, oh, you know, didn't have PlayStation in my day. You know, if we'd have had PlayStation in my day, I'd have never come out of my bedroom. Do you know what I mean? I'd have been off. But I've always said I've got 3 grandkids now, and I'm saying to them, be what you want. You know, if you want to be a guitarist in a band, if you want to be a dancer or whatever, go for it. You know, don't create. The worst thing, you know, they tell me at school I could be a landscape gardener if I tried, right? How fucking hard do you have to try to? I'm not dissing landscape gardeners, do you know what I mean? But it's not like, I couldn't see it like being a massive chore.
Yeah, I think it's like, because there's like people are going, oh, well, you've got to do this, you've got to get these grades, and they put pressure on you. I mean, I can remember like doing GCSEs. I think they call it something different already now, because they change the name of it every 10, 15 years. And I was like, I feel this like immense pressure, like they're basically making out if you don't achieve X, Y, Z, your life's going to be crap forever. I'm like, and I'm having a meltdown because I'm not a stupid guy, but I'm never going to be a doctor, you know.
Well, I totally agree, because it's like you've got to have this qualification. You've got to have this qualification. Quite ironically, now I've got qualifications. You know what I mean? But it took a long time. You know, I don't know. It was my wife that. I knew I weren't daft. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but I knew I weren't daft, you know.
Yeah.
And I was working at a factory in Barnsley called Nut and Bolt. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
Sounds like a pub.
It does, doesn't it? It does. And
just off at Nut and Bolt.
Just off at Nut and Bolt. You certainly won't want to drink there, I must admit. And it's quite infamous, because if you couldn't get a job anyway, if nobody would have you, Nut and Bolt would take you. And I ended up there, and basically what happened was somebody gave me my job. I had some big tongs, massive like furnace, and this machine that used to make shells in wood, you know, shells, not seashells, but artillery shells, that's it. And somebody had passed me a red hot piece of metal, and I used to put it there, press a foot pedal, turn it round, press another foot pedal, and put it in a bin for 10 hours a day. Do you know what I mean? 5.5, 6 days a week, 94 quid if I got a Saturday in, you know what I mean?
Wow.
And I mean, that was going back a bit, but it got, this is no lie, that we'd just got, Babby were just married, we just got married, we just started Babby, like, and you think, I've got to earn the money. So, and it got that I being sick before I went, physically being sick, at thought of going, you know.
Wow.
And my wife says to me, go back to college, you know, you're not daft. And I'm like, oh, I can't, we've got jobs. But I ended up going like part-time, did my English and maths and that. And then it just sort of spiraled from there, you know. I just got bugged for learning. And I thought maybe them teachers were right, you know, it's all right, this.
Another 5 years, you could be a landscape gardener.
I know. I'm really working on it. I get hay fever. I'd be.
Same, yeah.
And I don't like physical stuff. But I ended up I went university access course. Then got my BA. Got my social work qualification. Then did my masters. And 2014, I got my doctorate. And then I'm just starting to go for my associate professorship, so and I think, what fucking time I wasted if I'd have done this, like when they said.
Well, because people think that like you should do it in the same way that like when they go like, oh, when couples get married, the next step is this, the next step is that. You know, if you've bought an house, you've got to get married. If you've got married, you've got to have kids, and it's like these like social pressures. And I think, well, you can just do. You've got all your life. You don't have to do it all straight away. If you want to act a twat for through your 20s, do it.
Which is what I did. Took me 20s, 30s, 40s, which were great. And I think all the stuff I'd have missed, fishing and pool and stuff like that. I'd have.
Yeah, because I think to myself, like some of the things that I did through my 20s, if I'd have knuckled down and gone to uni in my 20s. Then I'd have probably been like, oh, I can now do all these things now it's all done. But I probably won't be able to do it because I'd be in bed for 8:30. So.
And you'd have like a 400 grand mortgage or something, and like be chasing money and that. Yeah. But it's weird how we develop. You look back on yourself and you think, oh God, did I do that? Did I say that? And did I believe that? And now it's like I'm probably retired in about 3 or 4 years, and you think. I've been all right at that, it's had its moments. But, no, it's all right, but, as I say...
What? So obviously you're working. Is it children's services as well?
I'm at Sheffield Hallam now.
Are you there? Right.
I'm associate head of department at social work. So
Yeah.
I worked as a field social worker in child protection, and then I went into sort of management roles, and then I've been at Hallam 18 years.
Wow.
So now it's more strategic sort of stuff. And I just got a job and then fell ill.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've actually really done the job that I was set on to do, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm on my phase return, which is
get stuck in gradually. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like I'm down to 2 bargain hunt, split, and then get some work done.
So obviously, I'm going to touch on that. So, the health struggles that you've had recently, you've been kind of putting the journey of it online since it started and up to kind of present day. For people that's not aware, what is it that you've gone through?
I've had a new arse fitted, basically.
Not like a Kim Kardashian type.
Now
one,
they put it on my side.
Right.
I think that's deliberate. I don't think they're messed up.
Right.
No, it's weird. You know when you've never been poorly. I worked out. In all time I've worked like 20 years. Like in 4 years I've had about 20 days off. You know what I mean? Just not used to being off work. And then they also listen to your body, don't they? And I didn't feel right. So I had this scan and it's you've got gallstones. So, fair enough. I didn't say fair enough. I thought, oh shit. I didn't even know. It was my son's wife. She says, "Is it your gallbladder?" Nah, I didn't know where it was. Do you know where your gallbladder is?
Well, it's somewhere inside. Maybe I
knew that.
I'm guessing it's somewhere here.
It's here. It's round here. But I didn't know. I thought it was near my back. You know. And I said, now. So I went and had these tests. It's your gallbladder. You need it out. So I had it out, and it was brilliant. Well, not brilliant, I think of better things to do. Went in at 12, had it at 2, back watching football. 7:45 at night, sat on the sofa watching football. You know, absolutely no. 2 little holes there. And I thought, this is it now. Start living normal life. Because you've got to watch what you eat when you've got gallbladder trouble. Like, you can't have like cheese, all stuff that's good.
Yeah.
You can't have, all stuff that you want to eat, you can't. All stuff that's shit and tasteless, eat as much as you want.
Yeah, remove the gallbladder and all the fun out of your life.
Yeah. So it like bypasses stuff, so you're still supposed to be careful. And it was weird because my belly was making these really loud noises. And we started laughing about it, but it got that loud. Say, I was sat here, and door open, you could hear it in your room, right?
Right.
That's how loud it was. We thought we were laughing about it. And then I could see this, do you know like on Exorcist? like a fist under my skin going round.
Right.
This is no lie. I'll show you footage, not on public consumption. But I videoed it, showed doctor, and I said, look at this. And you
start throwing holy water.
Well, talking in tongues and stuff like that. Send for a priest. And,
what's he saying? No, he's just from Barnsley.
Well, thing was, I was saying to him, have you seen Exorcist when it's moving under her skin? And I thought, they're going to section me here. They'll probably think I'm cracking up. But that's what it looked like. It's just what it looked like a cricket ball under my skin moving round in my stomach, right? And basically, that I didn't know at the time, but that was just stuff going round. And it because I got this massive blockage here, it weren't going anywhere, so it was just moving round and across. But I didn't know this because I was still blaming gallbladder. Anyway, cut a long story short, I was 18.5 stone, and weight was just dropping off because I couldn't even brush my teeth because I couldn't face out. And I went to band practice and fainted. Right. Went funny, couldn't play, and none at band noticed. I'd stopped playing because you don't wear a bass player, do they? So they eventually noticed that I was wobbling about. I ended up in hospital, and they said, IBS and all that. So like, oh. But it just got worse and worse, and it got that I was 11 stone from like 18 and a half down to 11 stone, like a skeleton.
God.
I look like a deflated balloon, do you know, like something like being.
You see face all crinkled up somewhere in the middle of it.
Yeah, like they said, and then body. I mean, it's not the best body. Well, it just looked like what it does now, but not inside. And I remember it, and it's hard to say it, but I said to my wife, I couldn't even walk upstairs, and I said to my wife, I said, I think I'm dying, and. She should have said, no, you'll be all right. She went, yeah, I think you are.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
You know? And she was, let's go to A&E, you know, and went to A&E. It was Sunday afternoon. And went in, and young doctor, absolutely brilliant. I'd love to meet him. All I can remember is Jeff, was his name, and he didn't look like a Jeff. Do you know what I mean? He was only a young lad, and he didn't look like a Jeff.
I've never met a young Jeff.
No, but
it'll come back round.
Yeah, he will eventually, like Derek and names like that. But I'd love to meet him and just shake his hand, because to him it's probably a routine thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he says, you don't want to hear this, but I think it's cancer. You know. And I said, well, I want to hear it because I'll shit myself like, but if it is, isn't it? You know what I mean?
You'd rather know what you're facing.
Rather know what we're facing. And he says, I can't treat you. I don't know what it is. I'm an A&E doctor, but I'll get ball rolling for you. So after like a year of feeling crap, he finally did something and booked me in for a scan. You know, when you go in that tube and that, like. And they said, we'll get they inject you with a dye.
Yeah.
And you go in and you have to wait outside for like 15 minutes. In case you have a reaction to die. And I wait in there, like, and he says, oh, we'll let you know 7 to 10 days. And I sat there, and he come back out. He said, can you come back in? And I said to Tina, like, I said, they're fond something. Yeah, I know they have. And then he started asking me all these questions, and he says, right, ring this number, it's like gastro surgeon. Ring this tomorrow after dinner. So I didn't sleep that night, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you don't do it, you know. Me and my wife just sat in bed, sort of, you know, just sat there wondering and that. And then 9 o'clock morning, phone rang, and he says, I'm Mr. So-and-so from hospital. Where are you? I says, I'm at Ireland, like. And he says, can you get in? He says, we're going to operate this afternoon.
Wow.
Shit, you know. He says, bring a bag, you're going to be in for a bit. So
what did they identify that as then?
Well, I've had some what's called diverticulitis. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
And I've managed it for about 30 years. And all it is in your intestines. It traps. If you eat like a tomato seed or something like that, it can trap and get infected.
Right.
But what had happened here is, and I controlled that with diet. I had no flare-ups for years and years and years. It had trapped here, but just built up into a massive ball of mass. It was a massive infection. So which were near to perforating.
Right.
So I went in, and nurse goes, oh, if it's what we're making noise, well, just everything getting stuck. So nurse says, oh, you know, it might just give you an enema, blast it out. And I thought, brilliant, that. I know some inmates would pay for that, you know what I mean? Men of a certain taste. So I thought, that'll be all right, I'll be out tonight. And then this consultant walked in. You know, with them guys, we have like 6 people following them, writing everything down, what they say. And he just says, we're going to operate this afternoon, we're going to cut you from here all the way down, and you'll have a stoma on for at least 6 months.
Wow.
Like, shit. And that's what they did. That's what they did. Which I wouldn't be here if they hadn't, you know what I mean? But emotionally, it's taking a lot of getting used to.
Yeah, yeah.
Physically, I feel all right, you know. But having this on, it's just doing me head in.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know.
I can imagine.
I've got some stand-up material out in it, you know.
Yeah. That's. I was going to say it's sometimes it's best thing to do is channel it into something like that.
Yeah, you know, having a new house fitted, and phoning my wife and tell her I've shit my shirt. You know.
Yeah. What shape's your toilet now then?
I don't use it. I don't use it. It's weird, you know. Just empty. I mean, it's got its advantages because I can go to football, or theatre, or cinema, and I don't have to get up.
You don't miss anything, do you?
I can have a crap where I want. You know,
like a police horse.
Yeah, just sit in car. I'm having a dump, you know. So, but you've no control over it. It just happens. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then you just go and change it, and that's it.
It's one of them, isn't it? It's more common than people think, though. There's a lot of people that have got stuff like that attached, whether it's permanently or temporary, you know.
I think it's one in...
Get on with it, isn't there?
Something like 1 in 500's got a stoma, like, you know. And I'd always dreaded having one, because basically what they do is, apologies if this sounds gory, they make an hole and put your bowel through it, and your bowel sticks out of your side, so... Yeah. And then you just put your things around it, so... It's not nice, and some days I can't even bear to look at my son, you know what I mean? You change it, and it just crushes me sometimes, you know, to look at it, and you see all these things about body positive image. It's hard sometimes, you know. And I think it sounds a bit like, oh, woe is me, but it's just been a lot.
Well, no, it's because, like you say, there's 499 people here that don't have to deal with that shit, quite literally.
Literally.
But it's one of them at the same time that it's a better alternative to what could have happened. Yeah. Well, the consultant said, you know, we talk about patient choice, but there isn't really a choice here. You have it done. I mean, I've been thinking about going into market and modifying it because it farts. Right.
But it's got the farts of a 4-year-old child, you know what I mean?
Right.
Which... quite high pitch, so I think you should have them adapted to your size and body shape. So rather than doing these little tooty farts.
You could jazz them
how
up.
did we get onto this?
I don't know. Well, you've started making me think about ways we could make it visually look better. I'm thinking about go faster stripes and flames and stuff.
Yeah, you can get obviously I don't bother because I like people seeing it, but it's like a little bag here sort of thing, and you can get covers for them. My grandson was going to get me one with what they call it's on unicorns.
Right.
I thought, fuck that, I'm not wearing that, you know what I mean? So you can get all sorts out there. But I even before I had it on, I won't for taking my shirt off. So I might just leave it as it is, you know. But I thought, you know, there's not much you can do with him really, but it is what it is.
So is that something you'll live with for long term, or will it be assessed at a later date and then maybe they'll look at
the reconnect? Yeah. That funnily enough, I was there Monday, a couple of days ago, to have some tests because they're seeing if there's enough to reconnect. Because they thought it was cancer, they took more away.
Yeah.
So what he was saying is if it is cancer, there could be 1 million cells in there, and if they leave one, then it's still no good.
For no reason. When you're going to leave it to spread again. Yeah,
so it would just spread again. So he says they took a lot away, so they've got to try and find out if there's enough at this end and enough at that end to cement back together. Yeah. I hope there is, and I hope that it work that out, because I don't want to spend my life hunched over, you know, if on an elastic band or something like that. But I'm sure they've done these things before, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's just a regular Monday for them, isn't it? I suppose for people like us, it's all overwhelming, but they're just talking about it like they're dropping a letter off somewhere, you know.
Well, I says to him, that's a big operation, and it was about, I think, 6-hour operation or something like that. And he said, oh yeah, he says, but we might do 3 a day or whatever. Do you know what I mean? For them, it's changing a tyre or something like that, you know.
Yeah.
For you, it's all consuming and you're in pieces, but they're right, matter of fact. And
yeah. Well, it's just it's like sloppy plumbing, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. literally, reconnecting pipes. But they were amazing. I mean, you see nurses and people, you know, basically cleaning shit up, and you think I don't want to sound patronising, but it's little things like when my wife were waiting, that guy who comes round with tea, he's making her a cup of tea, and little things like that make it so bearable, you know, and he'll never get praises for what they do, you know. It's they
don't get paid enough for what they do.
No.
For the hours as well. Like when they think they're going home at whatever time, and 4 hours later they're still there on their feet.
Exactly. Because I should have gone down in the afternoon, but they couldn't get these potassium levels right. So I should have gone down first thing in the morning. I should have gone down in the afternoon. Then first thing in the morning, I ended up going down about 8 o'clock at night. And they'd been there all day waiting for me to get these levels right. You just think, amazing, you know what I mean? You just don't get... And it puts things in perspective, because before I put, I can remember, I get mad at myself because I put wrong aftershave on. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, oh, you know. And then a few weeks after that, I'm basically laid there while somebody's cleaning you. Do you know? 2 women are cleaning you.
Yeah.
And it puts things in perspective that you get mad. We all do it, don't we? Get mad over little things.
Yeah.
And then you never know. Like
it don't really matter compared to...
It don't matter, does it?
Things like that.
You know, it don't matter at all.
No, they're the... I think they're the real heroes, aren't they, really? Yeah. Heroes in Crocs.
Definitely. I would just laid there, me, Artie. On, what's that drug in America? Is it fentanyl?
Oh, I don't know.
Is
I always hear like morphine's the good stuff. People always want to take that home.
Oh, it's cracking stuff. It's cracking stuff.
I've never been on it, but I've heard about it.
I'll tell you something. I was on something like that fentanyl stuff and morphine, and you could self-administer, so you got your own little button.
Oh, they limit it though, don't they? So when it lights up, it means you can press it. People are waiting, like, right, get on it.
I'm laid there going, go on. Doctor come round and said, you've been at this, haven't you? I was like, well, it's free, innit? You know, I paid my national insurance, so I'm going to get what I can. Like,
tell him bloke in bed outside you, if I fall asleep, will you press this one? It goes green.
Just keep me pumping, But it's good stuff, that. It's good stuff. And that oxygen as well, that's all right. You just pumped up your nose.
Well, celebrities use that on like stages and stuff,
Meatloaf.
Yeah.
Meatloaf used to. Well, I think he did other things as well, Meatloaf.
Oh, I imagine so, yeah. Most of them, yeah.
God, but yeah, it's put things in perspective, definitely, you know. It makes you think, certainly makes you think. And without sounding morbid, like planning stuff, you know, practicals, because you think, if I'm going to die, you know, I'm going to have to tell my wife we'd have stashed money, do you know what I mean? And end up writing a thing, what bills to pay, you know, where to pay them and what direct debits.
Yeah. Well, every time we go abroad, my wife puts this black box on our bed, and it has information for relatives.
Yeah.
In case something bad happens, in case the plane goes down or something like that.
Yeah, it's daft as it
or a
seems.
tuk-tuk driver crashes into something.
We don't get them in Inglemells, where we go. Yeah, we don't get them. But you think, oh God, that's morbid or whatever, you know, but you think, well, I'd planned a lovely send-off for my son.
Yeah.
It was, you know, I got music planned, and then you're thinking, well, I wonder if so-and-so will come, and I wonder if they'll come. And you think, wait, it matter to me, I'll not know.
I know, I always tell my wife, Libby, I said, like 3-ish years ago, I'd started paying like a funeral plan.
Yeah.
And she's like, what are you doing that for? I'm like, well, it's kind of for your benefit, really, you know, because it'd be you that gets lumbered with either putting me in a skip or actually sending me off properly. And I'm telling her all songs and stuff, and I'm thinking, I wish I were one of them people, because I don't believe in really. I do wonder, like when it goes and it's done, I think, what happens? But is it just black? Because I can't remember anything from before, and I know people talk about heaven, hell, past lives, regeneration, and all this type of stuff, and it all sounds like a nice idea, except for the hell part, obviously. But I just think I've just never been a person that believes in that. It must be quite reassuring if you do believe it.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't believe. I'd class myself as an agnostic atheist. I'd like to think there's something, and it's reassuring. I'd love to know that there's something, you know, that if you do go, you can see your grandkids grow up and whatever, you know. But, you know, you think, I've not seen the strong evidence to make me think that. Yeah. But when I was planning my funeral, I did think about a church service just to edge me bets.
Yeah.
You know,
just
in case I were wrong. And he sat there waiting on cloud and stuff like that. Pascal's wager, I think they call it, that you just better off edging your bets just in case you were wrong. Like. But all practical stuff, like I'm thinking about them home cremations. You know? But I decided, it was funny because other week I said, I'm thinking about one of them rockets, you know, when they fire up in a rocket, like a firework.
Right.
They get you ashes, fire and time to, and then you're in clouds. I thought, that's for me. That's I'm literally going out with a bang, you know. And I was telling somebody that it happened. They went, like they cremate you first, and I went, yeah. She said, I didn't know that they did it. Can you imagine like strapping your body to side of a grave?
A lot of fireworks, yeah, for a full body.
To be like one of them V2, they had in war, the cruise missile I'd be on side.
See, when I was like in my 20s, I was like, I've got all this like rage and angst all the time, and I always like get annoyed by things I'd see on TV and stuff like that. And I always wanted my ashes to be scattered in Piers Morgan's eyes. But as I've got older and I've kind of like mellowed now, I'm like, I don't really feel that kind of like hatred towards people, so I'm just like, just bow out quietly and just
I think and now I disagree, Matt. I think go for Piers Morgan thing, you know what I mean? Go for that. I don't think anybody had complain about that. But the home cremations, you know, I've gone off them because
the home ones.
You know when I think they post you off.
All right.
They'll pick you up from hospital, won't they? Yeah, muster, morgue or whatever. Then they cremate you and then post you back.
Right. But easier to send you back, isn't it?
Yeah, parcel floats. I mean, I'd end up in Blue Bin.
It's a bit cheaper, isn't it?
There'd be nobody in our house. I'd be in Blue Bin for days. But what gets me, have you seen these adverts on telly and it's like 5-star Trustpilot rating? Right. How do they get that? You know, that means it's a 30,000 5-star, 30,000 people. That means 30,000 dead people said they were happy with their own funeral. Right? Did they do a seance and get feedback? I don't know.
Ouija board.
Yeah. How was the cremation? Just too hot? Nice and cold, you know? Yeah. What about your journey home? Did Parcel 4 steal it? No, it's not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, he left me on the doorstep and knocked and walked off.
Yeah. They were Salt family were in Wetherspoons pissing away inheritance I'd left, you know. I'd forgot about me already.
See, that's one of the reasons why I think to myself, I'd like to hope that I could just kind of float off and then look down and see it, because I'd want to see what, you know, once everyone's had a sandwich, and I want to see what my friends are saying about me.
That's what bugs me, because you're not going to find out. Unless, you know, you are sort of floating around somewhere, watching and listening to really what... I mean, when you were a kid, did you do that? You think, I wish I were invisible, you could do stuff. It'd be like that. And just like when everything's... See who comes to the funeral at first and see what they say about it, you know. I mean, I must admit, when I was poorly, I was just gobsmacked with messages I got, do you know what I mean? Because I thought most people think I'm a knob, do you know what I mean? So, and then again, even people I didn't think like
me. They're rushing for that 20 quid back.
yeah, wanting the money back. Can I send me that book you lent, you know? But, you know, it is what it is. Hopefully I'm men now and back doing stuff, back writing with me writing partner Paul.
So you write a lot of kind of live productions, don't you? And theatres and like plays and things like that. When did that kind of start? How's that become a thing, really? Like, because it doesn't sound like something that it's easy to get into, because I meet a lot of people who they write stuff and it never goes to a point where it gets into a venue and has anyone acting it out. It's
interesting that, because it's something I've thought about, and I always think if you've written something and you've enjoyed writing it and you put it in a drawer and leave it and you're happy, fine, do you know what I mean? But I suppose we're all show-offs, aren't we? Do you know, if you stand up, musician, singer, particularly singers in band, you know, you know what I mean?
Massive heads.
Yeah, you know.
Mine grew through my hair.
Do you know what I mean, though? You want to be out, and it's nice when people, I think it's great to make people laugh, and it's nice when people appreciate your stuff. And the playwriting started. I'd written a poem about when I'd written a monologue about when my dad died, and it's sad but funny. Do you know what I mean? Well, I think it's funny. And I'd written that, and my dad died in Spain. It sounds like we're on about death all the time.
I know, yeah.
But we had to go and pick his ashes up and bring them back from Spain, which when he ventured himself, you know.
Right.
And like for example, we brought him back in a bag for life.
God.
No, this is true. And we got on plane, and I put him in locker.
Right.
And this woman next to me, she said, "Have you been on holiday and that?" And I was like, "No," I told her like. And she says, "Oh, it must be sad for you." I says, "He's up there now." And holding my hand, she says, "I'm sure he is, Lord, I'm sure he is." And he dare tell you what it meant. Look. Anyway, I'd written that, and then Paul Aythorne, who I've been writing with for years now, he'd written one about a woman who goes to Graceland to take her husband, and there was like a theme there about loss. And I didn't know Paul very well. I'd just come across him when we were doing like recitals on poetry circuit, and I liked his stuff. And I messaged him and said, "I know you don't know me very well, and you might think I'm mad, but do you think I fancy writing a play?" So we just hit it off, and we wrote it like on Google Docs, which is what we still do. We still do it now, and it's weird because sometimes we can't tell who's written what part. Do you know what I mean? Because we it's like an hive mind sort of thing, and we ended up building up these like little stories, and it's set in a working men's club in Barnsley, called Tyke's View, and a what they call spiritualist medium. Well, pardon me, I think they're full of shit. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely think they are full of shit. Anyway, and we were thinking about when people do go and see that. I could see why people go. I'm not knocking anybody who goes. Do you know what I mean? It's the people that maybe exploit that.
Yeah.
But I know if I wanted to get into, I think about getting in touch with somebody you really love. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I spend most of my time trying to avoid relatives that I know that are alive rather than contact any. But I can see why people desperately want that confirmation, that affirmation, you know. And so we got thinking about that people who go and see that spiritualist would go for a reason. You don't just go and say, "I'll see what it's like. You know, I wonder if he'll speak to me Uncle Frank or something like that." You know what I mean? Yeah. And so we collected these stories. We wrote these stories and collected them all together about why people go. So basically, you get spiritualist at start, and then these people come in and just deliver these monologues about and it just took off. Play went really well. You know, we still performing that, and we just got people who fancied reading it, you know, to do it, and some were experienced actors, some were people who'd never acted before, like, and that's gone really well. And I think we're on about a 7th one now. Wow. And we've written one you'd like it. It's about this band from Lucifer's Love Child, they're called. Right. It's called The Boys Are Back in Tarn, and it's about this metal band who were like, you know, new wave of British heavy metal, and when Maiden and Saxon and all that came in, they were riding on that, and then something happened, and they all fell out, and then in 2000, like now they get sponsored by Viagra. Because their 8 song were called "You Make It Hard to Love You," so it gets sponsored by Viagra, and they make this comeback, and it's all set in studio in Tyke's View Working Men's Club, and it's just we set it up like there's a band there. We did it in Leeds at I can't remember what it's called, theatre, lovely theatre, last month, and we just set it all up like a band, like drums and that, and amps and stuff like that, sound engineer, and it's all set in that, and that's gone really well. But it's just hit it off. It's just great because it's, you know, I won't act in it. I won't.
Also, you won't.
Oh no, gotta be terrible. But
even though you've got the stage experience though as well.
No.
I suppose it's different, isn't it? Being doing stand up and acting, it's not. I had someone on the podcast who is an actor, and there's a kind of like getting into doing. Well, it does stand up, but as characters, and I think the idea of doing it not as a character is quite.
God. I couldn't do it as a character.
Fear.
That put fear of God into me having to play a character.
Well, if it's kind of Barnsley, can't you just almost be yourself? Just use your own accent. You ain't gonna put an American accent on it.
No, that'd be any sort of accent for me all ends up Barnsley or like when you try and do an Indian accent. Not that I would like, but you know, it just goes wrong.
I had a band on a previous episode of the Run Sofa called Ash and Reach, and we were talking about when you try to do accents, and for some reason they just steer off into something else.
Yeah.
I've got friends who try to do like Geordie accents, but it goes Indian. Every time.
It's shocking. It's shocking. I even tried just to do a in my stand up it's set in a toilet, and the guy in the bit I'm doing says, "All right, mate, are there?" Which in Barnsley, and I said, you know, if you're not from Barnsley, that means hello, my friend, how are you? Yeah. You know, and even when I try and say that with a Barnsley accent, it turns Indian. You know, or like a Geordie Indian Welsh bloke. You know what I mean? So I can't see me acting in it. But I really enjoy it, and I've missed that because I just made it just being there. But we started again. We've got rights to there's a book about an haunted house in Sheffield. It's called Lady in the Bay Window, and we've written that as a play. Yeah, and I think it's going to be massive. I think it's going to be the biggest thing we've done. Like so, right. It's weird because, like I was saying at the start, I don't. If I want to do it, I do it. So when we wrote plays, I said, what we're doing for actors, I thought, right, I'll set a theatre group up, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I set a community theatre group up, and we got that up and running. That's going well, but it was difficult. It challenge finding parts for everybody. So that's still going. They've got performance, but me and Paul backed off, and now we just get actors in to do it, you know? Yeah. And I think this Lady in the Bay Window is going to be pretty good.
So this theatre group that you've got set up then, is that like, so when people stand out, you kind of go, do you fancy being part of this then? So
yeah, we just recruit as and when, do you know what I mean? Like Boys Are Back in Town, they're all like professional actors, you know what I mean? Apart from my brother, he plays a debt collector who comes on at end. Right. So all others have been in like some big stuff, you know. Yeah. Dave McClelland, who plays singer in band, he's been in films with David Graham and all sorts, you know what I mean, Sean Bean and all sorts, and they've all done bits and bobs. Yeah. One of the lads were in that new Full Monty thing, but they cut him out. Right. He did it all, filmed it all, and then got all the family to watch it, and then when it come on, they cut him out.
Oh, God. Did not tell them?
No. He weren't too good because he got paid. And he got family to Tenerife on that, like, so I think he was too disappointed. So we've got like a bank now of people, you know. So, but it's just fun, you know, it's just exciting. It don't always work, you know, we've put stuff on that people ain't turned up, you know, we've had to pull a plug on it. It's like gigs, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You can play to a full house one week and then next week there's nobody in. You
One
know?
man and his dog.
Yeah, you know. We've actually played to nobody. At White Bear in town, there were actually nobody in.
Really?
Yeah.
I never understand why they just have bands playing at that point. I just think, well, they should either just tell you, oh, just sit down and chill. Yeah. And if somebody comes in, then just
start
get cracking. But if no one's come in after an hour, here's your money, off you go.
Yeah. Oh, it were awful.
Seems a bit stupid, mate.
It were awful, and I can remember they got horse racing on screen all at Barn. I was picking horses while we were playing, you know what I mean? So they're just nobody in, and what can you do, you know?
Yeah, you're not. Well, it's paid rehearsal, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, we just took it as a paid rehearsal, had a few pints, and we had a good night. But you're saying if places bouncing and people are, like we've done Mad Friday and stuff like that in town, and it's been absolutely heaving, and you don't want to get off stage, do you? You know.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because we're not. When we're doing stuff like that, we're not doing it for world domination. We're doing it for enjoyment. We're definitely not doing it to become millionaires because it don't pay millionaire prices. Does it?
Certainly don't. Certainly don't. I mean, we don't even break even sometimes. We charge like $250, something like that, and we get a sound man in. I'll say sound man because it is a man who does it. We pay him like £100, and it's like, for a taxi, it's like £70. We end up with 2 pints apiece and money's gone, do you know what I mean? So, but we've had a great night out, and if I turn it on its head and say you're going to play in front of people who's going to appreciate it, and they're going to give you a bit of cash and 4 free pints for it, you think, oh, that's a right neat out, you know. So that's how I look at it. We've had some cracking nights.
I think it's because you've got a good job already as well, haven't you? So it's not like you think, I desperately need to be squeezing money out of this. I just need to be doing what I really enjoy.
That's it. And I don't envy people's chasing it. Like on stand up, I love doing it. I absolutely love doing it. I think I love my band. Poetry. I've never been a massive poetry fan. Do you know what I mean? But I like writing poetry. But people need them gigs. It must be so hard, if you're doing it to pay your mortgage or whatever.
Well, that's when they start picking up things that they don't really want to do, just because they think, well, I need to pay my phone bill next week, so I've got to do this really rubbish gig for peanuts. Yeah,
and you're chasing all the time, you're chasing it all the time, and it's like we stand up, most spots are 10, 15 minutes, and that's it. So you could be driving to, I don't know, Nottingham or Derby, York, and doing a 10-minute spot. You know what I mean? And I've done that, and you sometimes it's a bucket split. I mean, bucket split. I got £1.30 once.
Right.
For bucket split, and it cost me like £6 to park. You know what I mean? So.
Well, that must have been a while ago because you can't park for £6 these days.
No, it was a bit since, but do you know what I mean? And then there's some that pay all right, and you think, but I won't like to think that we're chasing it all the time because there's a lot out there doing stand up and stuff like that, so it's competitive.
How long have you been in the stand up game then? Would you say?
About 3 years, but we've been poorly. I've had like 7 months out.
Yeah.
And it really took off. I lost track of time. Like last year, I got some cracking gigs with Toby Foster and that. Did Civic, Penistone, Paramount. It's like 300 seaters and stuff like that. It was really starting to take off. And then when I started poorly, I pulled out a couple of gigs. And then I couldn't do any. And it's amazing how quickly phone stops ringing,
Yeah.
How quickly people forget. I won't say they forget about you, but
it's like any industry, isn't it? It will just keep going without us, whether we're part of it or not. And if we don't do it, somebody else will.
There's that queue of people wanting to take your place.
Everybody wants your seat, don't they? So
and it like you putting message on Facebook. I'm up and running now and stuff like that, and you think it's like starting from scratch. So I started doing. It's picked up lately, but I thought, right, fair enough. I'll just start again. Start doing some open mic stuff.
Yeah,
which you just turn up, or there's no payment or anything. It's just like basically an open mic,
like showcasing yourself.
Turn up, showcase, try some new stuff. And it's good that. I mean, you get your experienced comedians will do that. You
meet people as well, don't you? You don't know. Someone might take a shine to you who's, well, do you fancy coming to this with me? To being part of this?
Well, that's how I got me like really when it stepped up, because this comedy shop in Barnsley, I don't know if you've been in, and Toby, who I'd known a bit with bands, Toby Foster, were in Phoenix Nights, and if people don't know, he was drummer, wasn't he, in Phoenix Nights, and he does radio stuff, and I'd met him through bands and when I'd done poetry on radio, and then he messaged me and like I'd done some open mic stand up, and he'd seen it or whatever, heard about it, and then I were in Tesco and message, and he do you want to spot a comedy club, like this moment, like my first proper paid stand up, and I'm like yeah, and he says, oh, you're on with Justin Morehouse, who's off Phoenix Nights, and Matt Bragg, who's he opens for Ricky Gervais, and I'm like in middle doing my first gig, I'm absolutely shitting myself. But it went well, do you know what I mean? Went well, and
you're rubbing shoulders with good comedians there as well, aren't you?
Yeah, and you listen to them, do you know what I mean? You listen to what they're saying, and like Joe Elias and stuff like that, so you listen to what they tell you, because you're like, oh, make more eye contact with your audience, and you know, and stuff like that. But I just find it, I won't say ultimate test, because that's probably like something like MMA or boxing, in it, but you know, a challenge to just walk in a room and stand up front and try and make somebody laugh, do you know what I mean? I think there's no way to hide, and if I'm doing poetry I can read it, but I still write it on the back of my hand. Advantage of having tattoos, because I can put it on, it looks like a tattoo. So I write a few, and once I'd written on my arm, and then I got up late, had a wash, bombed to work, and I'm giving a lecture, and I looked at my arm and it said shit, piss, whale, knob. Which what themes from me written on my arm, and I thought, I hope nobody's seen that, you know, right? Like some weird sort of sadistic ritual. The
jokes that you think, oh, that can stay in for long term, you could actually have them tattooed as well then.
Yeah, that's the thing though.
You've got to keep writing it back on then.
That's the thing, because I learned this, because something happens, and I don't tell jokes as such, I sort of observational stuff, you know what I mean? But when something happens on news, and that one were about that I'd written on my arm, it was when that or a walrus, I don't know if you remember this.
I don't know.
I
don't listen to news very
no, it was
much,
comedy gold. This walrus, them with big tusks and that, walrus, came up on ramp at Scarborough.
Oh yeah.
Can you remember it?
I think I saw something online about that.
Yeah, because what he did when he he pulled up and laid on thing and had a wank, didn't he? Do you know?
I can't remember. I didn't know they did that.
Yeah, well I didn't. I mean, it must be hard with them claws.
They've got hands, have they?
No,
they've got like big flappy things.
Well, they've got like big. It must be dangerous, do you know what I mean? But he did, officially.
I'm questioning myself how well I actually know animals now. Like.
Don't Google like. But that's what he did, and that was. But he developed because they cancelled fireworks, didn't they? You know, they cancelled fireworks, so it didn't scare him, but gave him a nickname Thor. You know what sort of? He's Thor. He's not scared of fireworks. You know what I mean, and stuff. And that was funny, but then you realise it's only going to be funny for about 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Everybody's forgot it.
Yeah.
You can't go. I remember 2 years since when that walrus thing got washed.
I think that's why everyone just goes on about like the marriage and having kids and stuff, because they think, well, most people's going to remember this and relate to this.
Exactly.
It's the safe options.
Safe option, because you know you do something that's fairly dear, and I think if you can get people to relate stuff, do you know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, I remember that, 'cause we've got a static at Inglemells, you know, static caravan, and I get most of my material just going out Skeggy Market, you know what I mean?
I can imagine.
and that, you know, you can see people, it strikes a chord with them, you know, once you say stuff like that. You know, so you get plenty of material there when they
There's a lot of stuff that people like. You can just, like you say, you just when your people are watching and stuff.
Yeah.
I do it sometimes. I'll be like just in day to day, and somebody will do or say something, and they've got no idea that what they've done's funny, and I'll like smirk, or I'll be thinking of funny stuff in my head. I'm like, oh, I can't mention that. I can't talk about that, especially if you don't know the person.
Exactly right, you know, and people say stuff and not think it's funny, and you think, I've got to get this in, do you know what I mean? It's like when I was in hospital, I was panicking in case I got put on a ward with somebody like a dobber, do you know what I mean? Like it's somebody who was like, and I walks in and this guy went, all right, Court. I'm like, all right, and he goes, I've not seen many parakeets this year. Well, first thing he said to me, you know, what do you say to that? What do you say? As your opening line, I've not seen many parakeets this year. And he was dead serious. And then he says, do you know Evel Knievel? And like,
get me on that
get
stuff
me on
that
this
he's
other
on.
one. Get me some more of that fentanyl. I need it.
Yeah, he's managed to like mess around with that morphine thing, and he's just not limited.
He's off his head. He's off his head. So you know, you just think, right, that's going in material sort of stuff. You know.
I mean, I you know, thankfully not really been in hospitals for myself very often, but I've been in with other people, whether it be friends, relatives, or when I worked in care and stuff, and you've took people there, and there's if there's 6 to 8 beds in there, there's always one, isn't there?
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
You can sit. Everyone's sat watching them, and everybody talks about them like they're not there.
Yeah.
Because for some reason they're never actually listening to everybody else.
No.
They're kicking off and
you're exactly right.
Coming out with stuff like that.
Kid in bed across, when he'd start, we'd go like, you know, like, nodding and stuff like that. And what he did, this guy as well, I think he'd been in hospital about 30 years, you know, and I think that was his hobby, stay in hospital, because wherever he had, he topped it, you know what I mean? So he'd like, oh, have you had any other operations? I said, oh, I'm a gallbladder out. And he was like, oh, you're lucky I've had both mine out. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that, he'd sort of top it. He had type 3 diabetes, you know. He just, he like top trumps, whatever you did. And then at night he'd kick off and just like, oh, God. But I managed to get moved. I got my own room eventually. Like that.
See, what they should do is just put the person that's been the problem in their own room, really, and then everybody can be safe.
Exactly.
Peace and quiet, because you've gone off to your own room, and now everybody else is still having to.
I weren't bothered. Get me in that room. Get me my own telly. You know, bargain hunt's going on. You know, but no, he were a character. I must say. I hope he's all right. He's probably still in hospital. He seemed to quite enjoy it. Like.
So. If your approach is more kind of observational, it's not really. It's, you know, you're just highlighting funny things rather than set up and punchline type of thing. Is it? Did you always kind of set out to do that, or did you just naturally fall into that approach? Did you just go, this is how I'm going to do it, or did you try a couple of other ways first and think, actually, I prefer this?
No, I just fell into it. You know what I mean? I just started. I think it come from poetry. Because my poetry is, hopefully it's funny, and then it's like a spin off of that. But we are the sheet in front of you.
You need a book of your poems that just says that on front of it.
Yeah,
hopefully they're funny.
Well, I've put that on my blurb now because we've got a few gigs coming up, and I've put Lee Pollard makes a return to the comedy scene after having his new house fitted, and his poetry is being described as quite funny in places by his wife. You know what I mean? Which is actually what she said. She's never been to one of my shows, and I'm glad, because I'd have to cut stuff out about her, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
Like, you know. And then I showed her one. I filmed it, and she, it's quite funny in places. It's not worst I've seen. Thanks for that. But I mean, she's been absolutely brilliant. You know, she's just been amazing. We've been married 30 odd years, and I think when you're not well, you realise how much you love somebody. Do you know what I mean? And it's. But I'm dreading it because we're doing Neil Diamondo. Me and him does some stuff. Have you seen Neil Diamondo?
I've never seen him. I've seen him posters and pictures, videos and stuff online.
Dave Drumgower.
You're doing a show together, aren't you?
Yeah, and that I love him to bits. He kept coming. He kept coming and seeing me while I was poorly. We go back a bit, and yeah, we both end up in tears. You know what I mean? We get right emotional. But we did this thing by accident where he does his Diamondo stuff, and if people have not seen it, I'd recommend it. He's like, I won't say spoof, but he tells jokes and sings Neil Diamond songs and other songs.
Yeah, because I've heard, because when I first ever saw his like name on a poster, I just thought, oh, it's just another tribute show. But then I've been told, no, he does like comedy stuff, and it can be a bit close to bone at times and all this type of stuff. And they were saying, don't just turn up if you want to sit listening to Neil Diamond songs.
don't. I mean, I like Neil Diamond. I'm a big Neil Diamond fan. But stuff he says, some jokes he says, it's like, I won't repeat him on here. And he just walks around crowd doing it. Do you know what I mean? He don't
just tearing them apart.
Yeah. He says stuff and he's cracking. But what happened was, this seems quite bizarre. One Halloween, we used to have parties at our house when kids were young, and we had a Marvel themed, superhero themed night. So all mates come, and I bought this wig and these glasses and it's like this suit thing, and came as Doc Octopus. I got these big foam arms, and they look brilliant. And when I walked in, they all thought I were Elton John. With these things sticking in my back. This is true.
I can see it now with all his wings and his ball.
Yeah, they thought I were Elton John. And I took wings off and decided, and realised that when I've got it on, I do, right? Look like Elton John. And I left it at that, and when my mates go to them 80s things at Butlins.
Yeah.
And I was stuck, so I thought, I'll do Elton John. And I went, and I couldn't get to the bar, because people wanted the photo and stuff like that. And there was queue of people, you know, like, and what happened was, this guy who was Chubby Brown, dressed as Chubby Brown, came up, he said, stay there. And I'm stood here, and he came with his mate, who got George Michael, you know, all proper faith stuff on. Yeah. And he was like, Elton, and me and George. And we stood there in the middle of Butlins with a queue of people wanting photos with Chubby Brown organising queue. This Chubby Brown lookalike saying, oh, you go next. So I've done Elton John thing, but I'm not good voice. But what me and Diamondo do is he does his bit, and then I do some stand-up, and then he does a bit more, and he does that. It's an amazing video, it's absolutely brilliant, where George Michael, so he puts his blonde wig on, does George Michael, and it's that with Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me.
Yeah.
And when he goes, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elton John, then I come out of this changing room as Elton John, and we sing this thing together. And we did it for laughing local pub. And then people are like, oh, when can we book you? So we started taking bookings now. Absolutely bizarre.
It makes. There's a scene on Phoenix Nights where they sing that together.
Oh, it's just like that, and we do a couple of songs and that, like. But we've had an idea now. We're going to do Proclaimers.
Right.
Do some Proclaimer songs, come on with wigs on and stuff like that. So it's just a good laugh, as I say. You know.
Well, that's it. And if people are asking for it, then why not? If you can have a laugh and people's going to give you a bit of money for doing it, why not?
Can't believe it. We did it in Prospect, not Prospect, and then we did it in there. And I came out thing like, and everybody were like laughing, and we got everybody singing "Don't Let the Sun Go Down." I mean, there's a video at all pub. You got loads of views, and then a couple of days after, says, so-and-so's just for want us to book us, and so we've been actually taking bookings and doing gigs from it.
So is that something you're going to book long term then, like around everything else, or are you just doing it for now, just because?
Just when it happens, just when it happens, because he's got his own thing, you know. He does about 3 shows a week.
Yeah.
You know, I've got my own stuff happening, and you know, so when we get a booking, we just do it. So we got a few bookings coming up, like, and it's just a good laugh. It's cracking laugh, and he's a great guy. You know what I mean? Lovely guy. So. Yeah, we'll just see. I don't think we're going to get win any BAFTAs at out for it. It is funny. It is funny.
So if you're picking things back up then now from like this year onwards, going into next year, what's your plan then in terms of like how much comedy, how much writing, how many productions have you got anything set that you want to do, or is it just kind of just going to take it as it comes, or
take it as it comes and just appreciate each day, really, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I've got to have hopefully another operation in November, put everything back into where it should be.
Yeah.
At minute, stand-up's hit and miss, you know, getting some gigs. It's not something you can say I'm going to be at, and I don't want to be at, because we've got static at Inglemells, you know, I've got to go there to get my material, and stuff like that, so I love, you know, going out with kids, grandkids, me and my wife, you know, we spend most of the time together playing Scrabble on iPad in the pub, you know. And in Inglemells, I mean, bingo, you can do 300 quid a night winnings, you know, so we live on edge, you know. It's a roller coaster ride, but I absolutely love it. But I've got some stand-ups coming, got some for Sean, Big Sean, from Heavily Pregnant Brothers. He started doing some promotions, so I got that at Fat Cat in Kellam Island. It's a cracking pub. In a couple of weeks, and a few bits and bobs here and there. What's going to take a lot of time is this Lady in the Bay Window, because we've just finished writing it, or I'm hoping when I get home Paul's finished writing it last scene. So then we're going to put cast art for that and get that. We've got an idea of some people we want. And then it'll start rehearsing every week, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And can't say too much about dates, because at a minute they're penciled in. So we've got some big theatres on board. We've got Lamp Room. And we sold it out. We boys are back in town. Sold out more or less straight away. So we've got 2 nights there. Then we're looking at Penistone Paramount and a big theatre in Sheffield for launch, because it's based in Sheffield, trying to launch.
Yeah.
So that'll be January, February, sort of booked up. So you
reckon most of the eggs are going to be in that basket for the moment then?
Yeah. Which is all right, because I mean it's well, you know. So we've got no budget, we've got no money. We've made from players. We either give it away, we give it to charity. Got that bit in.
Yeah.
No, because we did this. I think that's the spirit. We did it at Penistone Paramount, and we got a good. You know, I think about 1,500 quid, and then we'd already said we were going to give it away. We didn't realise how much you wanted. We're like, fuck, I wish we'd just said we give a bit of it away, do you know what I mean? I wish we'd have said we'll make a donation. So we've no budget. It's just like what me and Paul, this is how it can bite in our sometimes, because you put some money in and then nobody comes. But the guy that wrote Lady in the Bay Window, he's right good techie wise, and he put a video on, right good graphics sort of thing, and he had last time about 15,000 views, you know what I mean? And though people say, can you put play on in Brighton and Manchester and stuff like that, and so I'm saying we'll do that, and then I think we best write it first. We best write it. So it's going to be a challenge doing it, because it's not like we've done before. We've also kept really simple sets, but this is going to have to be dark and people appearing and stuff like that. So
is there anything comical in that then, or is it just, like you say, is it just a bit of a scary, dark, spooky theme?
A bit of both. Me and Paul said we're going to back off from comedy, you know, because we've the stuff we've done away days, which is about a crappy football team, Murder at Trumpington Manor, which is like an whodunit, like a carry on sort of thing. So we've all done
Yeah.
comedy with bits of sadness in. They've all got some sort of sadness in, but this is more dark, literally dark, with some. Because some at nights in play, it's lads all together, so you've got to have some banter, you know. But we've deliberately took some jokes out, you know.
Yeah.
But it's going to be one of them. I don't know if you've seen Woman in Black and stuff like
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Because that were done, I don't know if you know, they had no budget either.
All right.
So they had no budget at all. So they wrote it, and there's only 2 people in it, and then two actors, and then woman who keeps appearing. So they couldn't afford actors, but it's nearly all in pitch black because they'd no money for scenery.
Yeah.
So we're just going to turn all lights off. And
Yeah. Well, it kind of works, doesn't it? It makes
Yeah.
it very eerie in there.
well, we've got some torches from Poundland, so we just flash them on his faces and look spooky.
Campfire stories.
Yeah. Well, we've got Four Boys Are Back in Town. This part of it where they thinking about when they're back at school, all Barnsley, like, and they sit round a campfire, and we've got this campfire that we pull on a string and stuff like that. It looks brilliant because it's that cheap and naff. I wanted it to come down, doing like an homage to what they call Spinal Tap, where Stonehenge comes down. We couldn't get it to work, so we have to pull it on and that.
It's in
like.
danger of being crushed by a dwarf.
So but Paul's really creative, you know. He's good at doing stuff. So we just work, and that's fun part as well. That's what part I enjoy. Like, how do we make this person jump out and it be scary and stuff like that? You know, that'll be fun. But I'm a bit nervous as well because there's a fine line. We just turn into some sort of like Carry On Screaming or something. Yeah. You know.
Oh, I love that. So
brilliant. Not last New Year, one before, we went up to Brewdog in Manchester, their hotel. Me and my wife, she loves Brewdog, and I bought a shares in Brewdog, which sounds ace, doesn't it? And it was like 40 quid. I bought 2 shares, 40 quid, but you get a shareholder badge thing.
Yeah.
So we walk in like we own it, you know, 40 quid's worth of shares. And we booked into a hotel.
3 quid badge.
Yeah, look at this. See, they don't know, do they? You could own half of it.
Oh yeah.
So I flashed me badge about, and you get 10% discount. But we'd booked a hotel and then a booth in Manchester, Brewdog, and we booked it from like 6 while 2 next morning, and we went down at 6:30, and at 7:30. 8 o'clock, we've got his pyjamas on and we're in bed watching Carry On Marathon, do you know what I mean? Old fogies, and what a night, do you know what I mean? It's like back-to-back Carry On films.
I can easily do that, me.
Love it.
I used to be one of them that'd sit there like 2 foot away from TV. So I wear contact lenses now, square eyes, just watching UK Gold one after other.
Love it. This were ITV2, they got Marathon back to back, and it was just like, I'd rather be here sat watching this than downstairs in pub. Like.
Well, that's it. You just choose to do what you want to do, not because you think, well, we'll be classed as boring if we don't. No, just do what you want to do.
Yeah, just do it. You realise as you get older, just do your thing. Don't worry about what people think. You know, I mean, don't be a dick, like, but you know what I mean.
Do what you want, but don't kill anybody.
Yeah. Just go steady. Just go steady. And I think that's right with comedy as well, because I don't do stuff that makes fun of people. Make fun of myself. Do you know what I mean? And stuff like that. But
because there always has to be some kind of victim to a point, doesn't there? Like, If you choose yourself, you.
Yeah, or make it that generic. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't want to like specific groups of people. It's you're gonna get some emails, aren't you?
That's well dodgy, isn't it? That's well dodgy. But there's this thing in comedy now. I mean, Ricky Gervais, and I loved Ricky Gervais, but I'm not a fan of his stand-up. That it's just like nothing's off bounds. You know what I mean? Like, and like you can say what you want. And everybody's saying, oh, this you can't say, this you can't say that. You can, you know. Yeah,
it's just TV that people think, we can't say this. You can, because if you go to a stand-up night, people are saying all sorts of stuff. We went to see Rob Beckett the other day.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
I like it. In York, and you know, on TV appears very safe on the panel shows, you know, just makes a few teeth jokes. Yeah, he made a few teeth jokes, but I would say there were definitely between 30 and 40 paedophile jokes in his live show. You know, he's not saying them on all these panel shows and stuff like that. You know, so you can say what you want.
Yeah, you can
when
say
you're doing
it.
the live stuff.
And you don't know what's going to upset somebody. Do you know what I mean? You've no idea. You know, you could make a joke that you think's safe, and you know, people are going.
Yeah.
You know, or you.
Well, some people it's they go, well, that affects me, so therefore I'm offended. Well, people made jokes about stuff that, you know, that I've seen affect me and my family, and I just think, well, it's funny though. Yeah. It's funny, and unfortunately, you know, we can make jokes about almost anything.
Exactly, exactly.
And I think if you didn't laugh, you'd just be sat crying the whole time.
Well, what do you do?
Or you wouldn't speak.
Do you do? You know, you just. I mean, somebody the other day made a joke about colostomy bags, and I did feel it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, well, who am I to?
But you still see funny side.
You still see funny side. There's a brilliant bit. It came up on Facebook the other day, and it's one of the best bits I've seen. It's an American comedian, and there's somebody in a wheelchair, and I don't know what. I think they're talking through like a helper, and this comedian starts really ripping piss out of her wheelchair, and she thanks him for it, and that's an angle you don't think, because she's probably gone to comedy clubs where it's don't make fun of the person in the wheelchair, and that's a form of like exclusion.
Well, when you look at like there's certain comedians, people go and they want to be in front row because they want to have that banter, and they want to get stuck into it. And I bet she's probably thinking, well, this isn't right inclusive, because he's actually terrified to take mick out of me. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, I can't remember what his name is now, actually. Paul Smith. Yeah. He had it, didn't he? And there's a video of him, and he's stood there. Someone comes in late, and they're reeling this guy in on a wheelchair, and he's you know, he's obviously not having greatest time, and he just goes, "Hiya, mate, you all right?" And just goes, "I've been better."
Yeah,
you know,
it's brilliant. I like his stuff. I like it. I was doing some MCing at comedy show, and you know, you go around. I really don't rip people here, and there's this table at the back, and I was like, you know, "You all right?" And they're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, cheer up, you know, I've seen happier faces at the funeral, sort of thing. And then at interviews, she's like, "Oh, we've just come from my mum's funeral, and we brought my dad here to cheer him up." And I was like, "I'm sorry, but what can you say?"
It's
you
not,
know,
but there's no malice in that, because you didn't know, unless you actually knew him.
If I knew him, then you thought,
into I need to make sure I mention funeral to them, you know.
Get funeral, but the guy who were on after me just talked about funerals all the time, and it's like, what can you do? You know what I mean? It.
Well, that's it. You know, I just think proper comedy goers, as we call it, people that just like to go to stand up regularly. The 99.9% of the time not offended by stuff, because they just you're here for it. You're just open to it all, and it's like, people can say stuff that's horrible. You know. Some of the funniest things I've ever heard of my friends saying horrible things to me as a joke. Well, I hope it's as a joke, but and it's made me laugh my head off. And I think, well, if we didn't know each other, does that suddenly mean that should I be offended? It's like, well, who cares? It's just if somebody said something funny, you know.
Exactly.
You know, I had it the other day. I was doing a gig, and somebody he'd said to me just as I was starting my second set, and he was going, I said, "You've got me again for another 45 minutes, sorry." And this bloke went, "Oh God, more of that shit." and he was dressed, he looked like he'd dressed in like 3 different outfits. And I says, "Oh, thanks for your support and for coming out on laundry day." You know, you've just got to take mick out of them, haven't you?
I've always said it, you put your son up there, you know what I mean? You put your son up there. It's great to be liked, and it's great, but you put a poem out there and somebody says shit, you tell a joke, nobody laughs. Yeah. You've got to take it, you know. You do a song and some like it, some don't. But for me, you put your son up there, then
Yeah.
All right, you don't soak abuse up, but
No.
you've got to be prepared for some flack.
Yeah, I mean,
know?
I was talking to Libby the other day, and I'd been putting some covers on and stuff, just a bit of fun, because I've upgraded some stuff in my studio. Like, I want to use it, and I was just like, I put this cover on, and somebody had put like a comment on saying that they'd heard, like, I don't know, something of better singers like karaoke and stuff like that, and I said to Libby, I'm not even offended by it. I found it quite funny, because I thought, well, I'm not exactly world's greatest singer, but I thought, but I'm not terrible.
No,
at the same time, I know my place. I'm not big-headed, but I know what I'm capable of. I know my abilities, and I don't think I'm better than that. But I thought, well, don't make out like I'm tone deaf. And I just put a laughing face. I was like, do you feel better now?
Yeah.
Now you've got that out your system.
Some of the best parts are reading comebacks, what people have put. And
yeah.
He's really good at that. I call him... He must sing, "You're beautiful."
Oh, James Blunt.
James Blunt, he put some right comments. Have a look at his comments.
There are people saying that, like, he's got most annoying voice in the world, and he's like, and no mortgage.
Yeah. He's really funny. I'm not keen on his stuff, but
I quite liked his first album.
That was alright, wasn't it? When he sort of came on scene, but then it got a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna say. I mean, there's singers like. Will bring like certain albums out, and I just like, it feels like they've thrown it all in on first album, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, this feels like a bit of a diluted version at last one, and it just gets more and more diluted. And I know that probably gets like that with a lot of artists.
Well, look at Darkness, like their first album. It's like a greatest hits album, innit?
I love every song on that album. Yeah,
it's like a band that's been like Fleetwood Mac, and they've just got all the best ones.
Yeah,
but then after that, it's.
Well, this is it, isn't it? I love Fleetwood Mac, and I love Darkness, and people, when you mention Fleetwood Mac, people just go, Rumours, straight away, or Darkness, Permission to Land. They talk about it like it is the only thing. Yeah. They have got other stuff, but people just connected to certain things. It always compares
to that, doesn't it? You know, it's like Kate Bush, like Wuthering Heights. It's like amazing. And it's like, what do you do then? Do you know?
Yeah.
How are you going to top that? Probably didn't have to, but I would think, as an artist, you always want to produce what's better, don't you?
Yeah, you
want
to
or whatever.
You want to build on it,
yeah.
But don't you just want to hang on off of the whatever that were?
But it'd still be nice to have something that big to hang on to. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. A legacy that you're gonna go, it's him who told, this or did that song. That'd be all right.
Well, I am conscious of your schedule, so I'm...
Schedule?
So
I've made a tuna pasta bake, and I'm worried that it's going to be like mush. And my wife's, because she's got me drinking these big containers of juice and that.
Yeah.
So I need a wee as well. So.
Yeah. We'd got a set time we needed to stick to, which is all fine. But I always like to end podcasts on asking the guests... what advice you would give to your younger self based on what you know now?
Have an healthier diet. And just go for it. Just be yourself. Do you know what I mean? Don't let people define you or tell you what your limitations are. Never do that. And never look, if you want to do something, do it. If it falls on its arse, then you're better off trying that, you know what I mean?
You've enjoyed it along the way?
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you, Lee.
We've covered some territory, haven't we?
Yeah, we've covered a lot of death, but but we have talked about some living things as well.
We've lightened it up a bit.
Oh, awesome! Good luck, and I'm glad that you're back and you're still standing with your Elton wig on.
Still there. It's still got some mileage. That.
See you in a little bit.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.